Now that we are days away from the presidential inauguration, you may be asking yourself, how will Joe Biden address the student loan crisis? That's a good question. He talked a lot about how student loans are hurting millions of Americans. For example, he talked about how few protections exist for student loan borrowers.
We're going to make sure you can wipe out your college debt as well. We give more help to racehorses than we do college students.
He's written about how student loans are hurting borrowers' futures. In his agenda for the Latino community, President Biden wrote, "For too many, earning a degree or other credential after high school is unaffordable today. For others, their education saddles them with so much debt it prevents them from buying a home or saving for retirement, or their parents or grandparents take on some of the financial burden." On the campaign trail, he acknowledged what folks who weathered finding a job during a recession already knew. No one can forecast their financial future.
In fact, your generation has been really put behind the eight ball. You get all these degrees, you end up with all this debt, and you're in a position where you can't get a job because no one's hiring, or if they're hiring at very low wages.
He called attention to the truth. Student debt is a racial justice issue. In his plan to address the racial justice crisis in America, Biden said that young graduates of color are being crushed by their student loan debt, that Black and Latino borrowers are substantially more likely to default on their student loans, and that student loan debt is contributing to the racial wealth gap in this country. He says he has a plan to fix it. Okay, so what is in his plan? First and foremost, he promised that he would cancel at least $10,000 of all federal student loan borrowers' debts.
We're going to make sure that everybody in this generation gets $10,000 knocked off of their student debt as we try to get out of this god-awful pandemic.
But he also has a plan for the millions of Americans who will still have student loan debt. Biden promised to stop the government from seizing Social Security benefits from defaulted student loan borrowers. It's about time. The Department of Education's cruel collection tactics have trapped low-income families in debt spirals for decades. In 2019 alone, the government seized Social Security benefits from over 1.5 million borrowers. That's money that would have gone to life's necessities, like rent, medication, or food. We hope the president-elect considers stopping the Department of Education from using other safety nets, like the Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit, to pay for defaulted student loans too. Biden promised to fix income-driven repayment so that it won't break the bank for decades. Current repayment plans are unaffordable and can leave millions of borrowers in repayment for 2 decades or longer. Borrowers need a truly affordable repayment plan that will allow them to provide for their families, save for their future, and get out of debt faster. Biden also promised he'd make student loans dischargeable in bankruptcy. Unlike all other forms of consumer debt, student loans are very difficult to discharge in bankruptcy. As a result, student debt can follow borrowers to the grave. Biden promised to fix federal student loan servicing. Thank goodness. As recent lawsuits have documented, federal student loan servicer errors and misinformation have stopped millions of borrowers from accessing repayment programs and loan cancellation. They must get better or get out. Biden promised to crack down on for-profit schools, especially those who exploit the 90-10 loophole by targeting veterans and service members. President Biden got it right. For-profit schools have a history of failing students, leaving them with mountains of debt and a sham of an education. Many of these students have been waiting for years for the Department of Education to grant them the loan relief they are entitled to. We hope President Biden doesn't delay. All of these promises have the potential to change the lives of low and middle income borrowers. Borrowers are counting on Joe Biden to keep his word. Either way, the National Consumer Law Center will keep fighting for policies that improve the lives of low-income student loan borrowers. For more information on your student loan rights and repayment options, please visit studentloanborrowerassistance.org.